Hi, I'm Elizabeth Smith, a knitting designer and instructor. And in this video, I'm going to show you a possible solution for what to do if you've discovered that you have a twist in your knitting when you're working in the round. Now, this solution will only work if you've joined to work in the round and have only knit, let's say, one or two rounds, and then you discover the twist. What this fix does, it doesn't fix the twist necessarily, but what it does is it untwists the work at the point where you've discovered the twist. And the maneuver we work to sort of untwist it, it just creates a little bit of a bump in the fabric, which depending on the yarn that you're using and the project that you're working on, it may or may not be very noticeable. So what I suggest is if you've discovered that you have a twist in your knitting and you've only knit a round or two, it might be worth trying this fix to see if the bump is noticeable in your work. At least give it a try before you rip everything out and start over again. So let me show you here. I have an example. Here I am working with some bulky weight yarn and I've cast on and I've only knit a couple of rounds and I'm working in a 1x1 rib. And you could tell that I have a twist because I'm going to lay everything, and you always want the cast on edge to kind of all be going in the same direction. So here it is, here it is. And as I'm looking here, so this is where I notice it is not going in the same direction. It is twisting up right there. So typically I like to try this maneuver when I'm close to my beginning of round marker, because that's typically in a more inconspicuous spot in the project. So all you're going to do when you notice this, and I am close to my beginning of round marker, so I'm going to do it right at this point. So see how it's twisted right here, and I want my cast on edge to all kind of be under the needle here below. So in order to get that down there, I'm going to take my left needle and I'm just going to do this maneuver here. I'm going to go under just like that. And so as you can see, now my cast on edge, when I lay it flat, it's all going in the same direction. So at this point here, I have fixed my twist. So let's see how noticeable that is. I'm going to knit a few stitches since doing that, and that way we'll take a look. Okay, so let's take a look. As you can see, there is a little bit of a bump here. So that's where we sort of, to untwist it, we sort of had to twist that cast on edge. So there's definitely a little bit of a bump there, but I don't feel it's super noticeable. And you have a couple of options, at least for this particular setup. You know, I have my long tail here. When I'm weaving in ends, you know, I can weave it in such a way that I sort of try to hide that bump on the inside of the fabric. And also with this particular stitch pattern, because I'm working in rib, so I'm having some texture anyway, it's not super noticeable to me. So I kind of feel like looking at that, it blends in with the texture. It's not super noticeable. And I think with the help of my tail, I can weave things in such a way that I help sort of cover things up right here. So in this case, I can totally live with it. I think it'll be fine. And I'm going to just keep working away. But as I said, it kind of depends on the yarn that you're using and the project that you're on, whether let's say it's a sweater versus a cowl. I think with a cowl, you're beginning around is usually at the back of your neck. It really wouldn't be as noticeable as, let's say, a sweater. So it really does depend on your particular circumstance. But if you've only worked a round or two, I think it's at least worth a try before you decide to rip it all out. So I hope this video has been helpful should you find yourself in a twisty situation like this. Happy knitting!